Alright, Summer Slam's coming up, and there's a lot of different topics that I was like that people are anticipating happening coming up. And each one I was like, I'm gonna do a video for each one. But the first one that I'm like, I feel like everybody sort of wants to simmer down, time down, and I'm doing this purposely because I don't think that Roman is coming back at SummerSlam. I'm even further to say that I don't even think that we're going to really get this Bloodline versus old Bloodline. I don't know. I was like, Roman's only been, I was like, been gone for what, about 3-4 months. I was like, cause I was like, WrestleMania was what, in February, March, something like that. So he hadn't been really gone that long. We already done. I was like, the reason I say that is because like Seth just showed back up, and that seemed hella quick for him to show up. And he had injuries and stuff like that. And he's already back. So Roman, who while they hasn't had any injuries, is still tied to this type of storyline. I don't see why necessarily. First of all, anybody that thought he was gonna come back and Money in the Bank, I thought that was ludicrous. I was like, there's no way he's gonna come back for that. Like at least with SummerSlam, I can understand it, a bigger pay per view. I was like, especially if they do Cody versus Solo at the time, I was like, I don't necessarily know, but I can at least understand it. But I'm not gonna lie, I guess in my head I was like, I was thinking that Jimmy might show up at Money in the Bank. That's what I was thinking. Somebody like Jimmy is at the level of showing up at Money in the Bank. I was like 4 Bloodline guys, 3 regular. I was like Arcade Cody, but it was Fatu's match. They wanted to show out good for him, Solo, give him the win. So I actually think that maybe once again, hey, I think Jimmy is going to really be the first one to come back. I sort of really do because he could sort of get his lick back without having to really join either. I was like, without having to join like Cody, which Cody's going to give Jimmy a second chance if that's the case. I'm going to let y'all know that. He's going to let Jimmy get a second chance. He did it for Jay. He's going to do it for Jimmy. But he could just come in here and it's like an Enemy in Miami. They fighting the same people. You ain't got to trust Jimmy. You just got to know that Jimmy going to fight them. So that's why I'm like, he could come back and there's nothing there to really set your expectations to. Where like Roman comes back, now all of a sudden we're like, oh, he's gonna confront Solo. Oh man, I was like, is he gonna try to take it back over the whole thing? What happened with Paul Heyman? And I'm just like, that's a lot. I was like, they just got this Bloodline group together as of right now, which we think it might be finished with these 4 dudes. And I'm just like, that'd be really that SummerSlam coming right up. That's awfully quick to sort of be like, hey, Roman's already back, and he's going to undercut Solo, and they got to make a statement. I think you're going to have this build. I really feel like for at least like another month and some change. So that's at least 2 pay-per-views. I was like, because this one is SummerSlam, and then it's at Bash at Berlin, I believe. Then I think it's Bad Blood. I think that's what it is, or is it SummerSlam Bad Blood? Because if it's Bad Blood now, I will say if it's Bad Blood first, that's different. If it's Bash of Berlin, I'm like it's not gonna happen at Bash of Berlin. I was like, now it'd be cool to hit a Roman with that crowd, but I was like, no, to me it would be Bad Blood because I was like, they're alluding to something with the title of the whole thing. Somebody's gonna have a Hell in a Cell. I was like, Bloodline, they doing something here. But I was like, and also with the fact that people are wanting, hey, Bloodline versus Bloodline at War Games, and I'm just like, that seemed like, don't get me wrong, they could do it. They could pull it off. No matter, they could fast track it where it won't even feel like it's really that fast. Because you don't want to also slow burn this in a certain way either. But I just think that that's going to be really quick of like, okay, I was like, you gotta get Jimmy, then you have to have Roman, not necessarily that order, but you're gonna have to have those 2, then you're gonna have to convince Jay, who spent his whole time, like, he already said that, I was like, after round WrestleMania, that he was willing to step his brother back. He never said anything about Roman. So, I was like, then you had to get them. You got to figure out what The Rock comes in on all this. Then I was like, first of all, they did do a Bloodline versus Bloodline. If The Rock is in it, now you got to find 2 extra people to be on Roman's side. And yes, they're talking about Sammy, but I was like, Sammy is so much doing his own thing, whereas Jay is still being talked about and alluded to being in Bloodline. I was like, I was like, to be honest, Cody will be the one thrown in there. I was like, main storyline, he's the one that's thrown in there. If anything, it's not gonna be Sammy, it will be Cody. Now, if you had another person, that's different. But I think it's just too much to be asked. I was like, I just want everybody to temper down on, hey, this Bloodline versus Bloodline thing. Now, I'm not saying that by the time we get to WrestleMania, that's a different story. I was like, there's a lot to go in between there. I was like, I could totally see where it's like, because I was like, I could totally see where it's something like, hey, Royal Rumble, start off something. Then at WrestleMania, you could do Bloodline versus Bloodline. It doesn't have Roman in it because you might get Roman. I was like, you know what? You could still do Bloodline versus Bloodline, have Roman in it, and that's where you do it at. And Rock and Cody face off at WrestleMania. Boom, there it goes. I was like, you still got to find a 4th person for Roman, which would probably be, in this case, if it's not War Games where I said it'd be Cody, WrestleMania, it'd be Seth. That was like brother in arms. He's the one that was like the final nail in the coffin. That's how it's gonna go. I mean, unless they did something crazy and put like Rikishi in there, brought him out from retirement or something like that. I think that'd be hella funny. But yeah, no, I don't see Roman coming in at SummerSlam. I don't see any Bloodline versus Bloodline thing happening until we start getting down to WrestleMania season. I was like, now you want to say The Rock shows up SummerSlam? That's a different ball game. Cause I was like, I might give you that one. The final boss shows up to, man, I gotta do this. Shows up to make sure that Cody loses the title, because I'm not also gonna lie, I do sort of think Cody needs to lose the championship. Now, losing the Solo, I was like, cause Solo still ain't there yet. But you wanna know what made Solo up there? The Rock. That's what it is. Cause I was like, once that happens, guess what? Now all the heat's on Solo. Now look, and guess what? However you feel about Solo, The Rock makes sure that he wins, makes that even more valid. If you want to be like, oh, he's not really a champion, he's not really up there. It's like, yeah, because The Rock made it happen, because The Rock controls everything. That's a better, I was like, that'd be a better storyline. So it's like, Roman showing up, nah, I think he's still going to take his time. I was like, it's still going to be a big build. I was like, I'm going to say it's 70-30. He's not showing up. The Rock, I think that's more 80-20. Jimmy, that might be 90-10. Jay, no, I'm just doing too much now at this point. I was like, all y'all gonna be disappointed with it. It's like you gonna think it's Roman and it's just Paul Heyman coming out with the glove or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, that is my thoughts. That we're gonna look forward more to The Rock than it is Roman at SummerSlam. Until next time, peace. I'm out.